and
Hello.
Volodymyr.
Hey,
Sven. Oh, he got disconnected. He's gonna come back, I'm sure. Carlos. Hi, Carlos.
Hi.
We lost Sven for a minute there, so I'm sure. Oh, and Vitali. Hi, Vitali. How are you?
I'm fine. Almost ready.
Good. Okay, good. So we lost Sven for a while, for a little while. He's gonna come back, so we'll bring him in once he's back. So basically, I think what I just wanted to kind of do here before we get started with the first talk is we just have a maybe a quick discussion as to how you got involved with WebAssembly, because obviously you're working on other things aside from WebAssembly. Um, and yeah, I just wanted to really get some background as to why you're involved with WebAssembly. Are you using it for work? How did you get started? Shall we start with you, Martina?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Chen. So basically, it started like 4 years ago, and where SMJS the first time popped up as well. And me personally, I always got intrigued by developing C and C++ applications as well, because of my childhood experience with my elder brother. They're completely into native programming, and the whole shifting from running native desktop applications to now running this application inside a web browser got more and more, and so I got intrigued by that and thought, okay, there's a huge demand on having these old C++ applications in the web browser as well, and that's how I focused myself on basically with mscripten to port them to the web browser and to run them over there. So that's how I got involved actually, and I did already a couple of projects helping teams porting their old native as desktop applications to the web browser. That's how I got involved.
Great. Oh, so Sven has joined us now. Hi, Sven.
Hello.
So I just asked a question, to everyone how they got started with WebAssembly. Why they're involved. Are they using it for work, or is it just more a hobby? So Martina just gave her take on that, and we're gonna move on to Volodymyr, who's next in my screen.
Hi. So, frankly speaking, I didn't know much about WebAssembly around like 2 years ago at all. Then I'm mostly like hardware engineer and also a co-founder of Blynk, which is one of the most popular IoT platforms. So I mix a lot of things in my life, like product development and high tech and just prototyping, and I love playing with different technologies. WebAssembly was completely like blind spot for me for quite a long time. Then I was really interested in virtualizing software on hardware, like on small devices. And I found WebAssembly really interesting option here. And I started playing with it. So it was around a year and a half ago. And I started to write my own interpreter. And I think I found that WebAssembly community is really great. I mean, I was talking to different people. I was trying to get in touch with different people involved in WebAssembly technology. And I found a really friendly community, which was always welcoming me in different questions, trying to help with different issues. Also, yeah, so I'm really happy to be part of this community now. And I believe WebAssembly is really a great future for us.
Great. Okay, Sven, you're next on mine.
Yeah, hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess I started getting into WebAssembly because I really liked compilers at that time, and I wanted to write my own language. And WebAssembly turns out to be like quite an easy platform to target, and it was really interesting. And I read more about this, and I started compiling to it. And yeah, I'm starting to get more and more used to it and using it at work and stuff like this. So this is how I got into it.
Okay, thanks for that. Vitaly, how about yourself?
So I just a big experimenter myself. So I usually try different stuff. Regarding WebAssembly, I started with Rust first. Then I started to get more interest in assembly script because at the time I'm using TypeScript a lot, and as a similar language as a TypeScript, assembly script looks really impressive, and I think it has a huge future. And right now I'm trying to use WebAssembly for web audio stuff, and actually I compile a DSL language specific for DSPs called Faust into WebAssembly that is used inside audio worklets and things like that. But unfortunately, I have no chance to use WebAssembly at my job because simply we don't have such tasks for WebAssembly in my application that I'm working on at work. And basically, that's it.
Great, thanks for that. Carlos? So before I actually, before Carlos speaks, I just want to actually mention that Carlos actually is the one who came up with the winning design for the WebAssembly logo. So thanks for that, Carlos. So we've got a nice logo to use
Thank
right
you.
now. So how many people actually participated in the competition?
I think actually
Oh,
probably more
okay.
than 200 people participated on the. I don't know, many people actually, and I really remember. I think that really got like maybe like 5,000 people in total that actually participated voting, and so developers
That's
were
great. Yeah,
right. So
that's pretty cool. And the, like the logo is, it's very simple. It does the job definitely. Yeah. So thanks for that. So
thanks.
yes. Back to
Yeah.
the question.
So
Yeah.
yeah. So just quickly for me. So I actually I work as a web developer, and so I started actually with Rails. And so I always now I pretty much actually work with JavaScript and TypeScript. But the thing is that I always found it a bit frustrating that only like you could only code web with JavaScript, like front-end token. So I don't know. I got very interested on WebAssembly as a project, and I think that's actually why I participated on the logo design, which is my biggest contribution to WebAssembly, to be honest. And yeah, so that's it.
Okay. Moving on to Ingvar.
I'm just guessing the question here.
Oh, yes, yes, because you joined a little bit later. So the question was, how did you get involved with WebAssembly? Are you using it for work?
Right.
I mean, what are you using it for, basically? Yeah. So
So,
that's it, basically.
so generally in my, I guess, engineering career, I've been always oscillating between native development and web development, like to both extremes. Like initially, I actually started with doing some raw assembly developments, and I started doing web development, and somehow I started doing native development for desktop applications again. And it always felt like there should be some crossover between these two, where I could combine these two different experiences, and then, hey, WebAssembly came along. So it felt just like the right sweet spot where I could combine both and do something high performance on the web and something low level and so on. As for my job, luckily I got a job as WebAssembly developer advocate, which seemed to be exactly the right place to utilize both of those experiences and probably help other developers to also succeed in using both technologies and process them over in interesting ways.
Okay. My next question is, if someone is new to WebAssembly, how do they get started? What do they need to check out first? Are there sites or whatever, books or whatever, or resources that you would recommend?
Is this a question to me or
to
others?
Everyone, really? We'll start with Martina again.
Basically how I started was with the programming language I already used to, and I chose back then C++. So I just searched for the compiler which compiling C++ to WebAssembly, and this was Emscripten. And back then Alan did already a great job of bringing up tutorials. And for me, always the best thing that works out is just doing it. Like not reading too much about it first, like reading too much about heavy books and things like that. Just okay. And Aaron as well did now a tutorial about how to get involved into WebAssembly. But I would not start like in a sense of, okay, oh, there's a great compiler for C++. If you don't know C++, you might first learn C++ and then learning WebAssembly. Just start with the programming language you know already and how to port that to WebAssembly. And I guess that's how Aaron Turner explained as well how he got to WebAssembly. Like he's using and he involved assembly script. Like he knows TypeScript a lot and using TypeScript a lot. So he just got involved the compiler of actually compiling TypeScript to WebAssembly.
Okay. Volodymyr, any tips?
Hey, yeah, I'd say that if we are talking to embedded community and people involved in embedded development, like microcontrollers, other things like hardware stuff, then I'd say that they wouldn't have any issues with working with WebAssembly, because it's WebAssembly itself, like my impression from it is very similar to programming microcontrollers. It's a small machine, a very simple one. It has its own, peculiarities, but people from embedded community are used to work with it. I feel really comfortable with it. So, yeah, if you want to start with WebAssembly, dive into embedded stuff, know how things work under the hood, and you'll be good.
Great. Sven, how about yourself?
So I can recommend going the Rust way, because I have a good book that explains you how to compile Rust to WebAssembly and how to use JavaScript in your Rust code. So I think that's a good one. And apart from that, I think ECMAScript 10 is pretty cool too.
Okay, thank you. Vitaly?
Personally, I started, as I said previously, with Rust. And then, as I already know TypeScript, I easily switched to assembly script, same way as Aaron did. And that's pretty much it. It's pretty easy to start from, I believe, any language.
As Martina was saying, it's better to just get your hands dirty rather than reading a lot of books, I guess. How about you, Carlos? Any tips for newbies to WebAssembly, at least?
Yeah, so I think for me, the biggest resource, and a big shout out to Mozilla. I think Mozilla is doing such a big contribution to the web in general, but concretely in WebAssembly, they're doing a lot. They have loads of people working on creating guides, and so MDN is such a good resource. And I mean, overall, if you are a JavaScript developer, I think assembly script is just super easy to get started with. And if you are a bit more adventurous and you want to get into the Rust ecosystem, I think it's just a great compiler, and it's very easy to compile something like Rust code into WebAssembly.
Great. Ingvar?
Yes, if we are talking about beginners specifically, then I'm glad you asked. Because recently I updated WebAssembly.org to have specifically a page for beginners to get started from different languages, and I would probably just point to that. So if you go to WebAssembly.org, you go to getting started, there's like section for compiling WebAssembly from C++, Rust, assembly script, C#, whatever, and you can just get started with those things and go from there into some more advanced topics.
That's great. Yeah,
that's really what I would recommend.
Good timing. What are you seeing in terms of like take up by industry? I know some companies are using it right in production, and I think like Shopify, for example, and we've got a speaker later who's gonna talk about that. Is using it, but are there a lot of companies right now who are like using it, for their production stuff? Maybe I'll start with Ingvar again. We'll do it the reverse way.
I do know a lot of companies that actually experiment with it or try it in very different contexts, like some on server side, some on client side, some for like microcontrollers or whatever. I think a lot of companies are just cautious about using it in production because they haven't seen how exactly it will scale over time and so on. But yeah, it's picking up quite well.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Carlos.
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite examples is Autodesk that deployed AutoCAD actually into the web, which was a very old C++ code base. And I don't know, there are many examples. Yeah. Honestly, it's just, I think that there are many people already running WebAssembly in production. And so I think there is quite a lot of use cases. So just a simple Google search will render a lot of results. Probably.
Great. How about you, Vitaly?
I would say that actually companies started to use some kind of WebAssembly even before WebAssembly existed with ISM.js. So projects that really need a lot of optimization for performance and such kind of things, they started with ASM.js. And yeah, I believe it will bring more and more professional software like AutoCAD mentioned by Carlos, so like Photoshop and things like that into the web. So we are currently moving to something like web browser-based operating systems and such kind of things. And I believe it's the future. Everything will be in cloud, so you don't need to run any code on your machine. It will be basically just some kind of monitor with access to internet, and that's it.
Interesting. How about you, Sven? Any observations?
So I think games are a big consumer as well. Many games are written in C and C++ and compiled to WebAssembly to run on the web. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of applications that already we uses WebAssembly. Maybe you don't see it and you use it. But yeah, I mean, work-wise, Cloudflare is a big fan of WebAssembly, I guess. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Volodymyr?
Yeah, so I like in my experience, I met a few companies which were looking into WebAssembly in terms of like investigating its powers, and one of them is Unity. Unity is building like cross-platform applications, and WebAssembly is of particular interest to them. Also found I met Scalable. Scalable is an interesting case because they're trying to run like machine learning models on different hardware, and they found our work pretty usable in that case. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of small and medium companies already looking into WebAssembly. It's already interesting. It's already working. So I think we are going to see more and more such cases. I'm not mentioning like big companies that are already using it full speed, but yeah, there are a lot of other companies and already like researchers in this area.
Interesting. Martina?
Yeah, there's nothing that much to add, but yes, one use case I really like to point out as well is the developers who are actually writing native desktop application in C++ in the embedded world, which are now really want to and see the transformation of having the web browser as a OS platform somehow, and really want to not be intrigued that discussed so much about downloading like for hours again and updating, but just having the web browser and loading the WebAssembly file. And I like to mention as well the PSPD FKit company. I don't know if someone of you ever heard of it, and they also released a great benchmark back then when actually WebAssembly is faster than plain JavaScript. And like what kind of transformation operations on errors and when is the threshold when WebAssembly really is faster and takes place, and this is really great. And they do like converting PDFs to other formats and the other way around, and they use the WebAssembly already for a long time and released a lot of benchmarks, and also a benchmark tool to even like benchmark your own conversion, and this is really great.
Great. And there's an active community around WebAssembly right now, right? Are you all involved in that? I know there's like a regular meeting that happens, I believe. I know, Ingvar, you attend that meeting, right? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people attend CG.